Hi, today we'll be going to go over cross multiplication. And if you've been in math class, you've probably heard this term before. You know, your teacher might say cross multiply these two fractions or these two ratios or these two sides of a triangle. Your textbook might tell you to do it too. And you've heard this term cross multiplication so many times. You might wonder exactly what it's referring to. Maybe you just heard it so many times you forgot the original definition. Well, here we'll go over what cross multiplication is, where we use it, and general strategies for working with cross multiplication. So the essence, right? The essence of cross multiplication is that if I have two fractions that are equal to each other, so a over b is equal to c over d, where a and b and c and d are all variables. They represent numbers. Then a times d is equal to b times c. And you can see the reason why we call it cross multiplication is that it forms kind of an X if we were to represent it this way, right? A times d is equal to b times c. And that's what we call it, cross multiplication. And you might say, well, okay, that seems pretty simple. When would I ever need to use it? And you'd be surprised. It's a very, very, very helpful tool in mathematics because fractions are common in mathematics, and there are a lot of situations where we need to manipulate fractions. Let's go over a kind of simple one. Let's say we're given something like 2 over x is equal to 10 over 13. And let's say we were doing this as a part of a very long problem, and we got to this stage, and we have to find x. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use cross multiplication. 2 times 13 is equal to 10 times x. Now this is a lot more comfortable when we're dealing with x, right? This fraction, it's kind of difficult to just automatically solve from x from here. But here, right, that's 26 over 10x. We say, oh, all I have to do to find x is divide by 10. And so I get x is equal to 2.6. And so there I just use cross multiplication to take this messy fraction into a simple equation that I could easily work with, and then solve that equation to find x. And you might say, okay, that's pretty simple. Is that all cross multiplication can be used for? No. It can be especially useful when you have two fractions that have the same variable. For example, say we're dealing with something like x plus 3 over 2 is equal to x plus 1 over 4. We have to solve for x. And this seems especially difficult because they're not the same base, so we can't subtract them or add them. But we can use cross multiplication, all right? I'm going to take all of this, multiply by 4, right? That's one part of my x and my cross. So that's 4 times x plus 3. Then I can do my next part of my cross, 2 times x plus 1. I'm going to distribute out my numbers here. So that's 4x plus 4 times 3, which is 12. Is equal to 2x plus 2 times 1, which is 2. And all I have to do is solve for x. I'm going to get my x's on one side, and all my other terms on one side, so I can solve for x. Right? I'm going to go up here now. I get 2x is equal to negative 10, because 2 minus 12 is negative 10. I'm going to divide by 2. Get x is equal to negative 5. And as you can see here, we use cross multiplication to make this kind of messy equation into something nice and simple that we could work with very, very easily. And that there is the magic of cross multiplication. We can take a very, very complicated problem and make it so much easier for us. And you might say, well, how do I know if I'm doing cross multiplication right? Well, here's the great thing. You have your x's, right? You have your values. We can check to see if they work. So let's go back. X plus 3 over 2 is equal to x plus 1 over 4. We found that, x was equal to -5. Right, so let's say that works. Let's plug in -5 to x and then see once and for all, does cross multiplication really work? If it works, these two things should be equal. So -5 plus 3 over 2, is it equal to -5 plus 1 over 4? -5 plus 3, that's -2. -2 over 2 and we have -5 plus 1, that's -4 over 4. And we notice -2 over 2, that's just -1. -4 over 4, that's just -1. We have -1 equals -1. They're equal. Our equation works. We know we found the right x value, and therefore we know that cross multiplication works. So here we learned how to use cross multiplication. We learned the situations where it's useful. We learned some strategies for working with it, and we learned, most of all, why it's more than just a buzzword that math teachers like to throw at you. It's a very, very important concept that if you can master correctly, will do so many great things and make your work a whole lot easier. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a great day.